Hello, hello. It's Leslie, your core training companion, and I want to share with you some of my most favorite movements using the bender ball with the reformer. I get this question all the time. I do Pilates, my trainer has me do hundreds and teasers and all this, and my back is killing me. Well, probably because you're overusing your hip flexors. And that's one of the nemesises for me in Pilates is that overusing our hip flexors all the time and we're not protecting our lumbar spine. So really, if we think of core training lying on your back is not very functional because if I have to reach down and pick something up or put something in a shelf, laying on my back and pumping my arms doesn't translate to function at all. Standing or vertical movements translates to everyday activities. So I'm going to show you a few movements that I love to do with my clients so that they really do feel the authenticity of movement and how does it actually translate to things that they do like golf or tennis or pickleball, et cetera, so we can enjoy our summer. So where we're going to begin actually is on one medium spring, and on the balanced body that's red, and every manufacturer is a little bit different. So as we start to think about, side splits, we've done these over and over and over again, right? But at the end of the day, is your spine in neutral? If you're tucking your pelvis and squeezing your glutes, you're actually compromising the low back. So think of actually closing the rib cage, like almost like you're bringing the ribs together a little bit. And then as you start to press out and in, you start to feel the gluteus medius and minimus switch on. If we take the platform foot slightly behind, so we've actually pre-positioned this hip into extension, now when I push the carriage out, I'm going to feel a little bit more action in the glute. Then when I place the ball on the other thigh and I start to add a reach to this movement towards my moving side, being my left at this point, as you reach up and over, you're going to notice that you start to feel some obliques switch on. Same thing as if I move in the opposite direction. But now I'm going to feel a little different action because of the way that I'm side bending away from my moving leg. I'm going to start to feel more inner thighs. Other way is going to be a little bit more of the abductor, gluteus medius, minimus. This is going to be more inner thighs. So once again, notice what you're feeling when you press into the ball. So we're activating also a little bit of lats, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one movement. Now, feet are parallel as I press out and in. And the closer I bring my feet in towards the edge of the carriage, harder I'm going to move. Now, the other thing you want to think about too to activate pelvic floor is to actually lift through the pelvic floor by scooping up the arches of the feet. I see people going in and out, and they're not feeling anything. That's because they're not in their bodies. So you want to think about lifting through the arches of the feet, almost like you're scooping them up. So then when you press out and we start to add some rotation, we start to really, again, feel the outer thighs start to work and rotate in the opposite direction. And we're pressing into the ball as we do this. So we start to feel a lot of work in this outer thigh, even though I'm only on one spring, but I'm also using core. So you can put all these movements together. Laterally flex one way, rotate in the same direction, laterally flex opposite direction, and rotate in the opposite direction. So one more time. We've got lateral flexion, right into rotation, lifting up out of the rib cage, lateral flexion, and moving again into rotation. This was just a sample of what I love to do on the reformer. Now, all we got to do here is take our left foot back and place the ball in between my thigh and my rib cage. Now, I'm not going to bend this knee in because I don't want to make my knee mad, but what I want to feel is my core working to stabilize me and having the ball here as I press back and forth, I'm feeling this glute work a lot. So this right side of the body is going to start getting really fatigued here. But we can change the arm position to here and things start to change. Again, every time we switch our arm position, we start to get different areas of our body to actually work. So you can play with the idea of that. But what this does is gives me and or you stabilization. So this is just a little bit of a standing series, which is kind of exciting, really. Now, going into our seated series, once again, light spring, I'm going to go blue this time. Um, Once again, if we're doing all these movements without protecting our low back, again, like teasers, et cetera, my hip flexors are going to be on fire. So by placing our knees, in front of us and looking upwards as I do this, now as I start to straighten my legs and think about pulling myself back in using the core, because I could go out and in and go la 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 la, woo, feel the burn, and not be cognizant of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And again, this is one of my pet peeves is why are we doing movement? So what is the goal here is to feel the front of my body actually switch on as I move my arms in and out. So as I open up, come back to center, looking over the shoulder, coming back to center. Now I'm adding rotation as I look, or I can even attempt to do this with the eyes closed and focus on what I'm feeling versus what I think I need to see. But if I were here doing hundreds and looking down, which most people do, they're going to feel their neck. So once again, if I'm here, and then when I reach those arms up and I look up, there's no negotiating feeling the front of the body start to quiver. Why? We're starting to lengthen versus shorten. What a concept. We spend so much time shortening our bodies that we don't even take a moment to think about why am I not lengthening? That's such an easy movement, but even your most advanced student and or you're going to feel that. It doesn't mean that we have to do 1,000 of something to actually get results. So once again, let's look at the idea of I don't need to do a bunch of these. Only need to do a few to feel it. Let's place the ball underneath the ribs. Now from here, once again, I want to be on a light spring. Now, we've seen this movement 100 times. We've even seen it where you float and you jump off. But really what we're going to think about doing here is what's happening with my oblique. So we're going to actually just keep this leg straight. Now you can also bring the leg down and have it here so it's actually lower. That might feel better for you than on your hip. But I'm going to place my hand on my shoulder block and I'm going to, whoops, there goes my foot bar. I'm going to actually put my foot up here. And now I'm going to just lower down and lift up. So it's a small range of motion, but I'm working into my obliques here. So I'm going to lower down and I'm going to lift up. So once again, can I do this without holding on? And I'm not lifting high. I'm working on feeling what's happening in the stabilizers of my obliques. So that one is actually quite good. And again, it's a small but very effective range of motion, but you're working on the concept of lengthening versus shortening. So with our light spring on, I'm going to go red this time. And this time in a seated position, sending our legs through and having the ball once again wedged behind. You could also have your legs on the outside. So again, as you think about the leaning back and looking up, just by being here, I'm feeling the front of my body activate. If the ball wasn't there, I might feel some low back. So when we start to go into our arm series being here, breathing in and breathing out, as you pull back, working in your biceps, looking up, and it's a very light resistance because I'm focused on relaxing through my legs, but really engaging those deep core muscles. Same thing if I were to say, let's go into shoulder extension, and I lean back just a teeny amount, but just enough to feel as though my back is kissing into the ball to give me that feeling of stability. And once again, we've seen these movements done a million times, but when I have the ball behind me, and let's say I want to alternate from right to left here, working on tricep, bicep, for example, or shoulder flexion to shoulder extension, I'm still using this as kinesthetic feedback, which is really important. Then moving into like a planking series, which will require having two springs on now. So we want to think about how many different positions does my core actually activate? Well, in a sense, all of them, to be honest with you. So even then, when I, dropped the ball and I picked it up, I, was using intuitively, intrinsically my core, if that makes sense. So by placing the ball in between, again, my inner thighs, I'm not squeezing it. I don't need to. So as I move into elephant, or better known as downward facing dog, as I press back and as I come in, I want to think about lifting through that pelvic floor. And especially when going up on my toes now, and pressing out, pause, and now lift, because now I'm working against gravity. Again, I'm not squeezing the ball, I don't need to. Exhale, lift, inhale as we press out, pause. And the whole work here is in a different position, right? And feeling what's happening with those deep core muscles by adding a ball. Again, it's kinesthetic feedback. It helps us to find a little bit better alignment as we work through some of these core movements. And once again, my whole goal, in all honesty, is how can I really protect my lumbar spine? How can I move authentically so that my movements actually translate into function? This is Leslie, and thank you for watching my core training companion, utilizing the ball and the reformer today.